We could call these creeps. We could call this scope creep, whatever you want to call it. It's not a good thing.
I love bookkeeping.
Hey, and welcome to I Love Bookkeeping. Today, what we're going to focus on is when clients ask us to do stuff that we did not agree to do, otherwise known as scope creep, right? We could call these creeps. We could call this scope creep, whatever you want to call it. It's not a good thing. And we're going to talk about this. I know that we've talked about it many a times, but it runs rampant, right? I experienced it. I know that you experience it. And so what do we do about it? What do we do when a client asks us to do something that we didn't agree to do? Well, first and foremost, let's put everything into perspective, okay? We talk about marketing around here a lot, working with quality clients. And if you're doing that, if you're taking that advice and you're working with people who are exceptional, then this shouldn't happen that much. And a lot of times it's just because the client doesn't know. And a lot of times it's a compliment. And here's what I mean by that. They trust you, right? Your client trusts you. They call you. They do things and ask you questions. You're like, what? Why in the world are you asking me? Well, the reason that they are doing that is because you're their trusted advisor. So first of all, pat yourself on the back because you've done something very good there. But when it gets to this point, right, where they're asking you to do stuff and maybe consistently, it's time for you to bring awareness to them. Okay. And when I mean bring awareness, it's to say, hey, look, you know what? I'll be able to do this for you, but just so you know, this goes outside of the scope of what we talked about inside of our engagement letter. And so I know that you're using an engagement letter. It's very important that we do that because it specifies exactly what you will and will not do as far as the prices and all that. We don't need to get into that. But what we want to do is we want to let them know, okay? Because again, I think 90% of the time, it's if you're working with quality people, 90% of the time it's just because they're unaware, okay? And so I would say that you have to take each case individually, all right? So this person, let's just say that they've asked you to do this thing 3 times now. And before you didn't say anything, the second time you didn't say anything, but what's happening is that you're getting frustrated and they have no idea. So this is the first thing that we want to do. We want to nip it, like Barney Fife said, nip it in the bud, right? It's very, very important that we do this and we do it as soon as possible. Here's another little thing that I want to encourage you to do. When you've made them aware of this, and don't treat it confrontational, right? Just kind of as a passing by. Hey, I did this. This is the 3rd time I've done this. Just want to make sure that you understand that this is outside the scope of what we do. Okay. So if I'm doing this anymore, if this is something that you would like for me to do on an ongoing basis, I would love to be able to help you, but we need to revisit our agreement. Of course, that means that you are qualified to do it and you do want to do that. And at that point, the client, if they're a good person, then they're going to say, yeah, sure, no problem, right? They're a business owner. They should understand exactly where you're coming from. But another thing that I want you to do is I want you to send them an invoice for this additional thing that you have done. Okay. Now you're going to send them an invoice and you're going to put the price that it would have been. And then you're going to give that courtesy discount, whatever that you want to call it. But what we're doing here, okay, is that we're putting it into context. Hey, this is outside the scope of what we agreed to. Okay, you're sending them that invoice. So if you've sent them the invoice and you've had that conversation with them, I think about 95% of the time that's going to alleviate the problems. Okay. So again, the next time that they would ask you and they didn't, let's say you didn't redo the scope of your engagement, what you would do there is to say, okay, I will, but it's going to cost this much as the last invoice that I showed you without the courtesy discount. Are you fine with that? Okay. So this really is about open communication, right? It's about informing your client. It's about making sure that you are not a doormat and you don't let them continue to do this because again, I think that people are good and they don't have bad intentions like they're trying to pull one over on you. Now, if they are trying to pull one over on you and they don't want to pay you for that, then that's a clown, right? That's not a client. That's somebody that you want to kick to the curb sooner rather than later. And it all starts with marketing. Okay, so this kind of comes full circle when we're talking about scope creep. It's about working with the clients that you really want to work with. It's about working with quality people. It's working with people who believe what you believe, have similar values, all that sort of thing. So it always begins with marketing. In this case, it's no different right there. I'll just tell you that, these are awkward conversations that you'll have with a client. It's not a lot of fun to have these, but again, it's something that we need to bring to the forefront. Think about any relationship that you've been in. When you don't communicate something, when something's going wrong, and you don't communicate it, right? You don't let the other person know. That's when you start to struggle. That's when you get resentment, you get bitterness and all that sort of thing. So just get it out in the open. I know that a lot of us are shy, introvert, whatever you want to call it, but it's very important that we bring this to the forefront. Okay. So that's a little bit about scope creep. Now, again, those clowns, get rid of them, right? I'm actually going to do another segment on just not working with jerks, not working with people who don't respect you. That's a very powerful thing, right? Because this is a two-way relationship. Bookkeeping is first and foremost a relationship business. And that means that in a healthy relationship, there is respect. And they need to respect you. You need to respect them. You need to be excited about serving them. And they need to be excited about having you to serve them, right? So this all comes full circle. So if you have any questions about scope creep, we would love to hear them. Okay. I would love to hear your experience with this. Guess what? I don't have all the answers, right? A lot of the stuff that I'm giving you in terms of remedies are things that I picked up along the way, bad experiences that I had, both as allowing scope creep to go on, not correcting it. So all the things I'm telling you not to do or to do is because, hey, I did them or didn't do them, whatever you want to call that, right? So scope creep, let's start eliminating that. And let's just make sure that we are keeping everything above board and that we're helping our clients, but we're also getting paid for all that help that we give them. So again, this is Ben Robinson with I Love Bookkeeping, and I appreciate you watching or listening to us today. Head on over to ilovebookkeeping.com. There, you're going to find all of the shows, the notes, and some other great goodies that we have for you there. Now, if you'd like to be a guest on the I Love Bookkeeping show, there is a link that says Be a Guest. Go in there and we'll walk you through the process of getting on the show. And finally, to discover more about our programs, go to the courses page on the ilovebookkeeping.com site. There you have it, another great episode of I Love Bookkeeping. Thank you for being a proud listener, and thank you for being a bookkeeping professional. Enjoy the rest of your week.
I love bookkeeping. Here's a little shout to all my friends working hard at keeping the books. You want to change your life, you want to grow that biz, it's not as hard as it looks.